Good to start. Cool. Yeah, fire away.
What do you think about Joe last week against Cincinnati? And do you think just overall offensively you need to find more explosive plays?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're always striving to be explosive. They played a lot of too high last week, which definitely challenges that. Explosives come in a lot of different ways, right? Like down the field throws, run after the catch, run explosives. That helps. You have a 20-play drive, a 15-play drive. Those are hard to sustain throughout the course of a season. So finding ways to do that is definitely, part of an offense's identity. For the first part of your question, I thought Joe – played a good game for us, delivered the ball accurately, delivered the ball to a lot of different players, found outlets and checkdowns when needed. So we just got to continue to build the rhythm and the timing with the rest of the group. That counts for Joe as well, to make sure that we continue to build the rapport to sync up some of those plays that are really close to hitting that just found a way to not, last Sunday. So continue to get back to work. We've had a good first day of practice and, get ready for Baltimore.
You guys write the game plan on Tuesday, and then yesterday was the first day of work. So how difficult is it to incorporate a player who comes available after that?
Right. Yeah, I think, we are around these guys, a good chunk. So you have opportunities to find ways to get install. Obviously for Q, we'll take it day by day to see how he continues to progress in practice. It takes some extra work to make sure that we can catch him up after a Wednesday practice. But, Thursdays and Fridays are really pivotal days throughout the week. So finding ways to make sure that we get him the proper work to give him an opportunity moving forward.
You had him here Monday and Tuesday. Just could you know how much you retained from the playbook and everything from the summer?
Yeah, I think definitely there's a good starting ground for him. When you get into the stream of a season, the one positive is you're not trying to digest, 7 or 8 installs like you would in training camp. You have a finite number of plays, within a game plan. There will be carryover in terms of the terminology that so for him, it's really focused on, all right, we have a new playbook for this week's opponent. Let's try to master that instead of saying, all right, well, here's our 7 installs of training camp. That's a little bit more daunting than one game plan.
That you can get him ready to play at least a package of plays.
Yeah, we got to see how he progresses, right? I mean, there's the physical part of it, there's the player's health part of it, there's the mental part of it. I mean, there's so many different aspects when you're looking to prepare a guy. We have a lot of trust in all the different facets of our organization that will help get him there, and we'll just monitor as it goes this week, and hopefully it reaps good benefit, but we'll take it one day at a time and see where it goes.
When you look at the film from that first game, what can be done to improve the running game?
Yeah. Missed opportunities in the run game for sure. We need to be able to take advantage of if teams, play us a certain style to take advantage of looks that are advantageous. We need all 11 in the run game. The quarterback's making sure we're in the right IDs, the back's making sure we're on the right tracks, the line working the right combinations. Like, it is such a nuanced part of offensive football that, we just got to continue to coach our tails off on the details of it to make sure that our guys are understanding where we're going. But, they're definitely frustrating to have some misses there and need that balance to make sure that we can, sustain drives and sustain series.
With the way you guys used Harold Fannin on Sunday, do you feel like you're just kind of scratching the surface with all the different ways you can deploy him?
Yeah, Harold's done a nice job of, as we've talked about him before, coming in and owning the different things we've asked of him. That position, like I think I said last time, you get asked to do a lot in that role. His skill set allows you to ask even more of him in that role. So excited about how he performed in his first NFL game. I think you felt that through practice, but you're never really quite sure until you get out there. And continue to push him and continue to find ways to get him to be a, really impactful player for us.
Can you put a number as to how many different places he could line up in your playbook?
There's only 11 spots, so, probably less than 11, I guess.
We're talking about.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Dylan, you specifically, not knowing what until he gets out there. Catching the ball wasn't something necessarily he did a lot of it coming out of Tennessee. How has he sort of grown, and what was Sunday maybe just the tip of the iceberg in terms of?
Yeah, I'll give a lot of credit to our coaches on that one. That was definitely part of the developmental part with Sam when he got here, trying to work those things, find ways. We want our best players on the field, and usually at running back there's one of those guys, a little bit like quarterback. But if we can find different roles and different ways for him to impact a game, that's impactful. Like the run game we just discussed. I don't know how many like wide or swing routes we threw to Samp that are turned up into 9, 10, 11-yard gains that became kind of pseudo runs, just different ways to get him involved when things aren't clicking as much as you'd want him to. So again, frustrating on the run game part. I got to get that fixed. But to make sure that you still don't lose sight of some of those players in different ways that they can impact games.
Harold, the tight end position is involved in so many different parts of the game. Can you just help us contextualize how impressive it is for him to be at that position and be this involved this early?
I mean, you saw it on his college tape, right? Obviously a different speed. I got all that. But the capacity to do all those things, to perform in those positions, Left did a great job with him in college of moving him around. So you saw a diverse ability to impact a game. And then it's all right, we'll get him caught up to speed. And then as he continues to digest things, how can we continue to add stuff on his plate? And, he has done a nice job of putting himself in position to be ready. CJ's done a great job getting him ready as his coach, and excited about his prospects. Just got to continue to hone in on the details and make sure that, each week we give him a plan that he can go operate.
You guys using Aiden Huntington and some of those jumbo packages. Like, what about his ability did you guys like to put him in that situation?
Yeah. Well, you watched him on kickoff a few times, and you felt like, the explosive power there, and kid that can learn it and do a good job for us. So Aiden's been great. We used, Winston in a similar role a year ago. So just finding guys that have unique talents that can help the entire team win games.
I know Kevin's the play caller, but you guys are on the same page. So what is your philosophy? Has your philosophy changed on 2-point plays as opposed to PATs? Some coaches are going, the analytics say the more 2 points. What would you say is the philosophy of this offense when it comes to 2-point?
Yeah, I'll defer that to Coach Stefanski. He's ultimately the one who's going to lead us, and we have all the faith that whatever is called, we're going to go operate it.
Would you say you have a large 2-point playbook or not?
I think you have in every game plan, you have plays that you target as, hey, these are specific to that, or low red calls, and you always have backups ready to go. So, we actually one practice this camp. I think we repped 6 in a practice, and I remember sitting there being like, that seems like a lot of 2-point plays, but throughout the course of a year, you're going to need some. So I do feel like we have a good plan there.
Jerry and said sort of their ability to bounce back this week and focus after some plays they'd like to have back from last week.
Yeah, it's just got to sync those plays up, right? In football, so often you want to throw it a little better, you want to catch it a little better, you want to landmark a little better. The rhythm's thrown off a little bit by having to step up. There's so many factors to that. Jerry and Seth are confident guys that have made plays in this league a lot of times. So I don't worry about their confidence at all. I think Joe does a great job of building confidence amongst his teammates and the receivers, and I don't worry about Joe's confidence at all if he wanted to throw a little bit higher. Those are just reps that you got to sync up. You watch football across the league, you see balls bounce the other way and end up in a different result. So for us, it's all about the fundamental, the detail of operating those things. But we have a ton of confidence in all 3 of those guys to make sure that we make those plays.
When you look at what you guys were able to do in the past game, even without necessarily explosive plays, but what can you take from what you guys did and turn it into what they see in this Ravens defense, kind of like using that going forward?
Yeah, you just want to build off the success you have. Felt like we did some good things, attacking certain parts of the field. Feel like we created some explosives and some third down situations, which was positive. Felt like we put our guys in the right spots for what their abilities are. The Baltimore presents a whole different level of challenges, just not because they're any different, but just how they approach the game is a different scheme, a different aggressiveness on defense. So, we got to do a great job of understanding their coverage techniques. They have really good players in the secondary at all spots, inside, deep part of the field, outside. They have a good rush plan, which impacts the passing game more than people probably realize. So, we got to own those opportunities, own those situations. And, again, we have a lot of belief in those guys to put them in the right spots to make the plays.
The guy with 4.39 speed, Bond. I know it's only been 2 games we've seen him. When are we going to see that speed put to use?
We'll find out, I guess.
What were your takeaways from DeWand, and what do the Ravens do from a pass rush perspective that is different than Cincinnati and that will present challenges?
Yeah. Again, we want all of our guys at all spots to be consistent, right? So I think as a young player that DeWand still is, finding the consistency is really critical. You have great downs. You have some downs that you want back. Obviously, want to eradicate some of the penalties, but that goes for everybody on our team. We got to find consistency. The early part of the season, so often the team that's fundamentally better will play better. I know it's very elementary to think about, but this part of the year there's a lot of sloppy football, so we just want to be fundamentally sound and focus in on those techniques. And then again, Baltimore does a great job of not only challenging you physically in their rush plan and what they do, but mentally they throw a lot at you. And so being able to process at a quick level for our guys up front, for our quarterbacks, for the routes to understand how they need to time up, that's critical to the success against these guys.
You just said there's a lot of sloppy football. Do you think that's because the veterans played so little, if any, in the preseason?
There's probably a lot of factors to it. I don't know if I'm the right one to make that call.
These next 2 days, today and tomorrow, what does Quinshawn have to show to make you and Kevin comfortable to play him on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't think there's one thing, right? I don't think there's like, hey, he has to do this or else it's. I think we want to get a good feel for where he's at from a mental and physical standpoint, and make sure we're putting the kid in a position to have success. And that's our judgment to make here over the next couple of days to see how it continues to go.
Going back to Harold and Dylan Sampson, and even like Jerry Jeudy, his ability to line up in a bunch of different receiver spots. How fun is that for you as an offensive coordinator to kind of cook up how to use those guys each week?
I'll give a lot of credit to those guys. We've challenged them from the day we stepped foot together in the spring of like, hey, these are some of the things that we want to be able to do. They're not easy on you guys. They can challenge you, again, mentally. They can challenge you physically when you have to run extra on emotion or something. But we did want to challenge those guys on some of those things to help the overall team. And they've owned it. They've bought in. And, players with versatility that can learn it and be smart and go operate, that is a lot of fun to coach. But a lot of the credit goes to those guys for how they prepare. Thank you, guys.
How's it going? Kevin was very supportive of Andre. Said he's going to kick in week 2. Across the league, we've seen the Jets cut their kick returner for fumbling. We've seen the 49ers cut their kicker after missed kicks. How short is the leash for Andre? When it comes to making those kicks in games.
I would say this. He's done a really good job since he's been here. From the end of last year on practice squad, from April all the way until this point. So we have a lot of confidence in him. Had a good practice yesterday. I have confidence that he's going to get it right. So
what went wrong? He said that he rushed it.
It didn't go through the uprights is what went wrong.
Did you see mechanically what you failed?
Yeah, I don't think he finished the kick that well,
Sequence amongst the three of them is going well.
Yeah, I think we've had good operations. I don't think that's an issue. The practices have been good. The pregame warm up was good. I think that he's in a good headspace. I feel like he's confident. He's got a lot of confidence. He understands that he needs to deliver and make his kicks.
So he made the 46-yarder going the other way, and Hopkins last year was more accurate at that distance than he was at PAT distance. What do you think it is with the shorter distance that's
I don't think there's anything that is – I don't think there's any, comparison with that. I mean, the percentages on a shorter kick are much higher than a longer kick. I mean, I'm just saying, like, statistically, yeah. Yeah.
Showing that faith in him and that confidence in him, the way you guys have since right after the game up until now has been an important part of getting him back.
Yeah, and I'll say this too: like when that stuff happens, you miss a kick that impacts a game like that. I mean, obviously we know how he feels, and what's the best thing to do? I mean, you're going to support the guy that you believe in. So I think that it's important that he understands that we support him. And he also understands that we expect him to make his kicks. So I think that he's done everything in his power in the last 4 days to put it to bed, get back to work, and get the results we want.
Taking a different approach this time. I mean, yeah, I feel like last year with Dustin, through his struggles, there was a lot of confidence in the building with him, a lot of support. And didn't end up getting it corrected. Are you taking a different approach with Andre?
Listen, it's early in the season. We just finished one game. He missed a PAT and a field goal. Obviously, both impacted the game. It's week 2. It's a young season. We're moving on, and we're just focused on the Ravens at this point.
I heard Kyle Shanahan yesterday talking about, like, when he was in Washington, they moved on from a kicker too soon. He ended up becoming an All-Pro, and he kind of learned from that. How do you balance that idea of, like, not wanting to give up on a guy too soon and kind of knowing when it is time to move on?
I honestly think that it goes back to just the body of work that we've seen since he's been here. I think that when we're seeing the results in a practice setting, and then in the I know it was a preseason games, but in the preseason games, did he have not a great game in the opener? Yeah, but I think that because of what we've seen to this point, we have confidence that we'll get back on track.
You tell it.
Flacco yesterday said he was going to make an effort to talk to Andre even more than he already had and play darts with him and try to instill more confidence in him. Like, how key is that to have the starting quarterback, trying that?
I think that it's great that all of our teammates are supporting one another. I think that that's important. And, I mean, Kevin said this after the game, right? You win as a team, you lose as a team. That was the message on Monday. Yeah, you win as a team, you lose as a team. There's a lot of things that happen in a football game, a ton of things that happen in a football game that impact the game. Now, when you miss a PAT and a field goal, like those are critical errors that need fixed. And it's like we understand that. He understands that. You win as a football team, you lose as a football team, but there's more impact at that position. That's just what it is.
How do you tell when a guy is in a good headspace?
I would just say, just his approach to his craft, his routine, his body language. I think all that stuff factors.
Andre caught a kickoff right at the goal line, and I know it's a big advantage if the ball hits the goal line, right? So, like, how tough a play was that? And when you rewatched it, should he have let it go?
Yeah, there's times where you're going to want to let the ball go. There's other times it depends on the returner's alignment relative to how he has to move and things like that. There are times where you lose sight of where you are. Like, for instance, he aligned on the 10-yard line and had to drift back. Does he know exactly that he's at the goal line at that point? It just depends on where your starting point is. When he came off to the sideline, we even talked about it briefly, and he said, "Yeah, I probably should have let that one go." So, yeah, and like I said this at the start of OTAs that the return rate is going to be extremely high, and it was like over 75% in week 1, and I don't see it going down at all. So,
intertwined with this organization for a while now. Obviously, you played here. What do you think, and what are your thoughts of the Ravens celebrating their 30th anniversary when you guys come into town?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't put too much thought into it. I was just informed that was happening right before I came in here. And, honestly, I feel like it gives us a little bit more juice. It would give me, as a player, for me, I would be more excited, to take on that challenge.
In your punt coverage? I know it's only one return.
No, not really. Honestly, we weren't. We didn't leverage the ball that well. So it's another.
Correct then? Or?
Yeah, I think we need to hit a better ball. I think we need to play more outside in our coverage. The hang time wasn't great on the kick.
Special teams units, both their coverage and return phases. What are some of the challenges that they present for you guys?
Yeah, they have a great unit. Stems down from the head coach, who has a special teams background. They do a really good job with getting contributions from all those players on the roster. They play receivers, running backs, tight ends, linebackers, safeties, corners. They play all those guys in all four phases. So they get great contributions. They have multiple ball handlers. They got a nice young returner in LeJontay Wester out of Colorado. Dynamic punt returner. They got multiple options at kick returner with Ali, Mitchell, Justice Hill's back there. So they have a lot of talent on that roster. It's definitely a challenge. They're well coached. Chris does a good job there. Randy. So a lot of respect for that organization and how they do it. Got a nice young kicker who also missed a PAT last week that impacted the game. So, but no, I think that they have a talented roster. They do a nice job. I think that for us, we're going to have to play physical in all 6 units and play disciplined, clean football.
What about him have you really seen? Because it sounds like some of the special teams work he was doing led to him being used in those jumbo packages.
Yeah, he's been a joy to coach. He really has been. Ever since the day he got here, you see the speed, the physicality. Now he's putting together the mental component of it. He's had a lot of production in a short amount of time since he's been here. He's a happy kid. He's willing to do anything it takes. And whenever you have opportunities to coach players like that are willing to do anything it takes to win, your team's in a good spot. So he was a good one to get.
With these kickers, and I'm talking in general, these kickers are all successful at lower levels, high school, college. What is it? Is it mental? Is it something that prevents? You see these guys who had great distance, great accuracy. Even at those levels, but they get up here and just it doesn't seem to connect. Is it that sort of the?
I'm not a kicker, so I couldn't give you that exact perspective. But look, it's the NFL. It is what it's the NFL. It's just it's not meant for everyone. So it's the elite of the elite that stick. All right, guys, thanks.